when I say that I do choose God before the LGBT communities because I read my Bible and I chose Christianity, and I just hated like facing the world as a trans person because hormones are making me tired. I hated the fact that my boobs aren't growing, but also I'm like, your boobs are not gonna grow. My heart yearns for God. That's why I feel like I need to lose grip of everything that doesn't make God happy. I feel like my love for God is so strong. That's why I do not enjoy sinning anymore.
As you know, we recently launched EYR Africa, our online shop where you can purchase this shirt that I'm wearing. You can also purchase my socks. I've got the blue ones today. And yeah, you can purchase them. But the most important thing that we're here for is this a conversation with somebody who has had many errors, many transitions, many pivots in who they are. We've seen many variations of who they are. How are you?
I'm good.
Are you denying that you've had many errors?
No, like that's the honest,
Really?
yeah, the
Ne?
honest truth. So I can't deny that.
I'm going to assume stands for innocent.
Yes.
Do you feel like your errors have had a lot of innocence in them?
No, they've had a lot of confusion, a lot of trauma, a lot of bullying, a lot of abuse. I almost feel like sometimes I don't understand why I was named innocent by my parents. So yeah, I feel like on the contrary, it hasn't been innocent for me up until today. Yeah.
But are you not feeling like you are now living your name as you are on this journey of alignment with God? Because innocence doesn't mean perfection.
Yeah.
Huge difference, right? It means going into some things naively sometimes. Remember that if you're an innocent in a situation, you could be in a bad circumstance, but you thought I was doing the right
Got
thing.
you.
Yeah.
What's up with the Lungelo, ne? One thing that I always say to people is that the spiritual journey with God is so difficult. I think, Hannah, just because I just relay it, I guess, in a way that's very profound to Christian community. But when I know, you know what? Yes, it comes with this innocence. There's innocence within this Christianity. It's just like all pure and all like golds, and it's not like that for real.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the most difficult times of my life, actually, more than anything, where I'm like, it would have been better if I just stayed like a trans woman. It would have been better if I just didn't pursue this Christianity in the way that I did. But I'm glad that I did, because you know what? I think working with God, you understand that it's never easy. You're always going to encounter challenges. And I think that's a beautiful part of it, because that's when you start seeing God showing off with you. I don't know about making sense.
Before we get there, how's your heart today?
Angry. One thing about me, I cry a lot. I haven't been doing that for a little while now, but I see it's catching up with me this week. For the past few days, it's been catching up with me. So if I tend to be a bit emotional, I just want to sorry about that, but that's just who I am. Bilaga Ikwadi haholo because of just the prejudice I've been experiencing from people who are meant to protect me, be it family, be it the LGBT community, be it Christianity, be it my friends. So I'm angry with worldly things, but I think with God, coming to some sort of contentment. I don't know.
God, I ran to you because you are my place of safety.
Yeah.
You're my place of hope. You're my place of restoration. But the custodians of this religion, this faith that you have, are chasing me out. They don't want me. They are rejecting at me. Is it something along those lines?
Hobane tata nako e telele ne ke feela jwalo. But up until I started reading the entire Bible, and I had a whole different revelation. And God has been trying to convict me, but you only start noticing the convictions later on. You be like, "Eish, that's why I didn't get that. Oh, that's why I was behaving like this. That's why I was responding like this." But only when you're in that spiritual realm, you're able to recognize those traits that have been happening in the past where you're like, you know what, God has been trying to bring me closer to Him. But with regards to religion, yes, for the longest time, I felt like, I was shunned upon as obviously an LGBTQ plus member. I don't even know how to refer to myself at this point for real. Um, and it made me so angry, but it also brought some sense of advocacy for my community. But just discovering God in a new form for me changed that perspective where I started feeling like it's not more about me, but more about in the demudi. Do you get what I mean? Which I feel like that's where we get it wrong. As people, we sort of feel like, God has to make us happy and it's the other way around. And I think that's where religion and Christianity is misconstrued. And when you come to terms with that, it's not easy, but it's something that you need to recognize that those are the values of Christianity as stated in the biblical law.
10 to 15 years ago, you weren't who you are. There was no fame, there was no glitz, glam, the hurts, the transitions. There was innocent Matijane,
Yeah.
who's a normal boy at the time. But within that normalness, there was an ocean of confusion. Where was Inno in high school, and what was going on in your life in that season?
For the longest time, I never really took myself as a victim of anything that was tragic in my life. I always just like took things and then moved on with my life as is. Like I never like thought of it like intensely. I was like, okay, this is whatever. Let me move because that's what I got used to. But it's only recently, and there's nothing my kids into, but like when I started writing my book and I started readdressing a lot of things that I've been going through in life, readdressing my childhood, and I was like, hold on, actually, I sort of like sift through a lot of things that happened to me in life, and one of them being my high school days, which is both good and bad at the same time. Good because I was a loving person, people enjoyed being around, very kind, everyone could just come to me and have a conversation with me. But bad in a way that I was trying to figure myself out. I was caught between dating girls and being told that I'm gay. Couldn't understand because of my feminism. There was a lot of bullying that came with that, and also from, you know, scholars that were like higher in grades than me, and I couldn't understand why am I being subjected to so much bullying when I don't even understand what's going on with myself. So my high schooling was interesting. It was eventful, and I'm still trying to figure that out because only now in my life I'm literally like drawing back to a lot of things. I think that's why emotionally I'm not okay because I feel like when you address things, you're opening a can of
Sure.
worms that you didn't think it's going to hit you the way it'll be hitting you.
Looking back, do you feel now actually I was tortured during high school, or am I being too extreme by describing it as torture?
Not necessarily also high school, but like I think since the inception of my childhood,
Hmm.
um, ke hopola fela. Okay, you're the first person I've never really tapped into so much of this. But anyway, ke hopola fela, just a lot of consent that wasn't given to people. Some of them being my family members, and that only now is taking a lot from me because it has been a continued pattern. And I couldn't understand how did I survive through that. I don't know if it's because I was raised by a single parent who taught me like you just have to be strong and soldier on. But now that she's absent, a lot of things are starting to affect me a lot. So it's not necessarily entirely high school only. That's not where it started. It really started at a young age, and only now I'm starting to like uncover that, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe that I ignored this.
The people
Yeah.
who did things to you without your consent, what did they do?
I still do not know how to communicate the language of sexual violation because it almost seems like I'm victimizing myself because I guess that's how I look at other victims and how they're treated. But I just recall sort of those things happening to me. And they've always been on my mind, but not like in a very hurtful way, because for me, I felt like that was a normal thing. It was like, okay, it's not a big deal, especially if it comes from your loved one or if it comes from your friend who's just chasing you out of like school gates and humping you, putting you on the ground and things like that. So obviously now with the education we have, especially on the cyberspaces, when people are speaking about these things and you research about them, you start looking at yourself and be like, oh, hold on. So this is what it is. But because consciously I wasn't dealing with it, I think subconsciously it was still doing something to me that I wasn't paying attention to. That's why it's not leaving me whole. And I'm just sort of angry with the world and sometimes even with God. Yeah.
If you're comfortable, what did these family members and friends do to you?
Um I don't know if it's something that I don't know if it's something I could detail. I had a every time I detail it, it seems to be an emotional space for me because I don't know why now. So I avoid just speaking about it. Also, I think just protecting those people. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I think also I don't want questions. I don't want who was it. Oh, I don't think I want to deal with that. So I would rather just reserve it for I don't know for God.
Do you feel like they chose you because of seeing that you're gay and knowing that there is silence in a person who's already from a marginalized community? Have you ever had those thoughts? Why me?
I haven't because again, it's only now. The why me it's only now, and I'm trying to address the why me. And I can't remember being a kid and being a sexual kid or understanding what sexuality is, so I can't even put it on my sexuality or being marginalized because how was I behaving that made people feel like it was okay to sort of do that to me?
Hey, family, quick one. As you know, our podcast is all about growth conversations. It's all about igniting your power. It's all about healing the inner parts of who we are that are difficult to deal with and difficult to manage. As we do that, we'd like your assistance in growing the platform by you subscribing, by you liking all our videos. It helps us to reach greater audiences and change more lives. Do continue enjoying the episode.
You know.
You said in high school there was a bit of confusion with yourself, with your identity. When do you realize that actually I'm attracted to boys, firstly? And secondly, when do you become accepting of yourself that you are attracted to boys?
In high school, I just remember being on to go and mix it in boarding school, and I'll be in communications with a lot of older gay
I hear
guys
you. Yeah.
and started getting very exposed. I don't think it's high school. I think it's had in primary actually,
Hmm.
because I had a phone at a very young age. Very exposed to like pornography, them calling me, and obviously I grew up wearing dresses, following my cousin sister around, and I've always imagined being like my sister. I would look at her and there's this thing
Mhm.
you're dressing up being his wife and a husband. I used to get so pissed that my sister was always like a wife. I was like, babes, why
Why not
why get
me?
she like should have been me for real. But then at high school when I started getting those people getting in contact with me on those social media spaces, I thought, you know what, this is actually my moment. Let me shine. I didn't realize how abusive and the process of grooming because they'll tell me, what do you think about me? Show me their manhoods and things like that. And that's when I started having interest in it. And my mind sort of just like got comfortable with seeing things like that and, just agreeing and wanting more of it also myself. But I was just only now realizing, but I was just a kid. I didn't even know like
Hmm, hmm,
what
hmm.
those things are. So I think it was during that time when I really got to understand my sexuality because I always knew that I was different, but you don't know when you're a kid what gay and everything is. But in
Sure.
school, that's when I started getting a grasp of it. And then it led to, I think, around in grade 11 when my mom was a very liberal woman, but also kind of very strict. So she would, if I wanted to do anything, she would like just give it to me, whether it's a car, if it's electronics, whatever. I remember this one time just prior to my matric fellow, I just came to Joburg and I met a guy, and we did things beyond what I've already been exposed to at a young age through, force or anything. This time I feel like more consensual,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, I love it here.
So at
And
18,
like
17, 18.
17,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But also during that time it was happening, it was not the greatest moment for me.
Mhm.
I've never really enjoyed intimacy with a man for the longest time of my being
Mhm, mhm.
until recently.
Do you feel it comes from a place of the violation? Or would say you thought my relationship with intimacy isn't that great, and perhaps um, it looks like these men don't want to meet innocent Matijane. They want to meet this person with a glass-shaped body type,
Yeah,
hourglass body type rather, and they are hungry for that, not
yeah,
me.
yeah. True. And also for the just mere the fact that I looked at my mom. My mom was like my role model in all aspects of life. And she was such a super independent woman who never needed a man. And I almost looked at her as, this person I want to be. Ke batla ho etsa ntho e ke batlang ho e etsa, ke phele bophelo ba ka ke se ka nahana hore ke hloka motho wa monna. So I always thought it was that. But again, like I swear, this is not even an advertising bit. There's a lot of things when I was writing, as I'm currently writing this book, where I'm literally nitpicking every event of my life, and I'm realizing maybe it actually could be the fact that I was violated. Because why am I so angry? Why was I never fully enjoying the intimacy with men for the longest time? Like, for real. Like, I would feel disgusted even after happening. I think maybe other, LGBT members could relate to that, but I just felt so dirty. I'd feel so cheap. I'd feel like it wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe I should have waited for marriage. Also, my mind being religion, there's some sort of like indoctrination of religion in my mind where I feel
Sure.
like I should do things in a way that she has done them. But I feel like also that violence did play some part because it was introduced to me not in a very comfortable way.
Not a positive way
Yeah.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think I'm going to have answers for a lot of things, which is going to be very, there's going to be a lack of transparency because then why am I here? But I'm just a confused being who's just trying to figure it out as I'm here. So I'm literally going to give you my journey as I'm going through it right now, not try to give you answers that you need. I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
Have you ever been in love, fully in love, romantically?
Recently, I think it was no, I thought I was. My first year in varsity, met this guy and it felt so great. We were in a relationship, but again, I ran away. And then, no, I don't think so. If you had to define what real love is, and I still don't even know it, because if I was in love, why did I run away from all my relationships? Because every guy, it would not last a month, and I'll literally break up with them for no reason. Everything will still be happy and I just literally run away. I always run away. I've never had a relationship longer than a month with a guy, and I literally was counting the other day. I don't know why, but I have like 17 exes.
17 exes, and you've never lasted more than a month.
But I think the reason why it's a lot too is because I've never lasted more than a month.
Sure.
Yeah, but I've always been running away, especially at the climax of the relationship, because I always felt like there was something that I had to fix with myself, be it like my transition recently, or I just felt like I was never enough. I just felt like I was being used. Like, oh, it's just a good body type. Yeah. Let's do this. I never felt like there was like genuine intentions.
Would you run away? I'm pushing you again. Would you run away before or after you guys have been sexually intimate?
Before, most of the times. Yeah.
Because you're like, actually, I don't want you to get that because I know how it's going to make me feel.
Yeah. Only now it's making sense.
Yeah. But the relationships we saw on your show, The Winging a Corner, it seemed like you were fighting for these people because you were truly in love with them. Do you believe you were in love with them? MJ, were you in love?
I think I was addicted to him.
Whew.
He came to me for the longest time. He's been trying to pursue me. And then I gave in at the time when I lost my mom, and I feel like he just became like a replacement, and I was seeking that love from him. And it didn't help that he slept with my best friend on the same night I buried my mom in the same room I was sleeping in. Whilst he did try to pursue me intimately, and I was just not in that space. And I felt like that was sort of like, oh, well, you're not going to do it. I'm going to get somebody else. So then I started getting addicted to that because that toxicity felt like so great to me at the time. Maybe I just was lost, but it felt so good fighting for something in my life because I've always been getting things. My mom just always treated me like a prince. I felt like if I fight for it, then it would mean that it's genuine.
If I fight, it could last. Maybe I could have something that's lasting for the first time. Why do you say addicted? Because addicted sounds highly toxic, as you're saying. It also sounds like I couldn't control myself. I just wanted to be with him no matter what I ruin in the process.
I think my addiction came from his manipulation. He knew what to do, when to do. He was playing his cards very well. For him, it was just showbiz. For me, it was my life. So he would come to me behind the scenes and I'm gonna take you to this rooftop. Yeah, we're gonna be happy and da da da. Then my reaction, because reality TV to me means my life, I would still continue with that idea. And then it changes up for him in front of the camera. Then I look stupid.
Yeah,
Then I
yeah.
started being addicted to the things that he promised me. Therefore, it almost looked like I just always was fighting for him. But in a nutshell, behind the scenes, he was the one coming after me, and I always gave him because of the promises.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you regret meeting him?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought of it. I haven't thought of it like that because, like I said, like everything in my life, I always just swiftly move on from things. I really never thought intensely about our thing that we had because it was like it was not a relationship. I'm delusional. So yeah, only recently last year I find out that he's still talking to the same best friend. So my best friend and I have fallen out again, and only now he's starting to blow my phone up again. I don't know why. So I haven't. Yeah.
Did you blame God when you lost your mom?
Yeah. It was insane. Like, my mom was the most kind woman ever. She was very selfless, took care of people, and loved God so much. And I could never grasp why God take the good people who are supposed to do good things and lure other people in doing good things. Because what good would we be if we just left with those who are not aligning with His word? I feel like those are the ones He should keep. And it's just the way it happened. It didn't even give me time.
How did it happen?
It was just so swift. I was shooting for the Ringa corner. I remember it was at night, and my first season, I always told her that I was going to be on some sort of reality show because I thought, like, what's it? I'm going to do makeup.
Yeah.
Actually, as a kid, I used to say that. I'd be like, why are you getting weight? You got to be on my show. So when it happened, I remember I got a call from my sister cousin that I grew up with in the same house, and it's like, dude, like, have you spoken to your mom? I'm like, I haven't spoken to her because the last time I had spoken to her, I was angry with her about other things that I can't even recall what was going on, but we were like best friends. And then it was kind of weird though, because I did say to a lot of people that I haven't spoken to my mom in a while, and it's weird because we blow up each other's phone, like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
like
yeah.
gossip. We do everything. We shout together. We run together. And then she's like, "Your mom is sick." I'm like, "What do you mean? Your mom is sick?" And oh my god, like I don't think it was her fault, but the way she broke the news to me, she's like, "I think she's gonna die."
Hmm.
And I remember just my producers here, like literally like stopping everything. I'm like, "Yo, I just lost. I didn't even know how to react." I remember, I think we were in Soweto, shooting Soweto, and she hadn't known at the time that I finally got that dream that I was looking for. And I made plans to go home. I got home, saw her, and I remember her smiling so beautifully at me. She didn't look sick until the next day. I started talking to her, seeing her struggle to even drink her pills broke me because I felt like it was supposed to be me in that position because the way those women have just been selfless with me, it was just not fair that it was her because I feel like if it was going to be anybody, it should be me because she has been just so good to me. And long story short, within 2 weeks, she lost her life. And I felt so bad. I went from selling my cars for like 12,000 rands to want to see her doing good because at that point, she was not in a good financial health. Merely because of the fact that she was taking care of like my entire family and
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
So at one point, you're going to get drained even though you do have a good job. And it was also around the time where it was kind of like still like tricky for me in terms of like, income. So then I had this car and I was like, my mom's health matters more than this material things. And the reason I settled for that price was because it was an expensive car and I felt like it was going to take me longer. And I just had to sell it for the amount that I needed at the time just so that my mom can be good. And I did all those efforts and, I still lost the battle. And there was no way I could have just not looked at God and be like, why her? So it means the values that she has instilled with me of Christianity don't matter because eventually I'm gonna be like her. You just don't care. And I remember I was vegetarian for 7 years, almost 7 years at the time. I remember just going eating meat because I felt like all the values that I heard didn't matter. I felt like I could just live my life and do whatever that I wanted to do. I think I also started smoking weed, but like a little bit at that time. So I just lost myself because I'm the only kid from my mom. That's my best friend. What do you mean? How do I move on from with life?
When did the transgender transition start? Before or after you lost your mom?
After,
After.
yeah, way after, like 4 years later.
4 years later.
Yeah,
Remember, the transgender community is very valid for their struggles and they've been through a lot. So I know I don't have to sensitize you to that, but I know that this is going to include your faith as well, where some people use faith to harm others, and we're not doing that here.
of course.
Um, do you believe that part of your transition into being a transgender woman had to do as, or was part of you dealing with your pain from losing your mom?
I don't think so because I think I had mentioned earlier that I was wearing dresses for my sister
Sure, sure.
everywhere that I should go, and people just would not understand why I was doing that until I stopped. Then I had to live according to the attributes of society and that whole idea of what a man should be. And grew up being gay, one point dating girls, one point dating boys, going through life as a straight acting person or going through life as a straight person because I'm still confused as this day because the girls I had dated, I genuinely did like them. And I think I've always said that since the inception of the show. Like, I don't want to say the girls that I've dated was because I was hiding my sexuality. I genuinely like them. Um, so then later on in life, I met friends who are trans. But before that, I remember just watching Caitlyn Jenner too, and remember just like getting very
Inspired.
yeah, and relating to sort of that journey. But I was very like resistant to it. I was like, this can't be me. I don't wear dresses. I don't do that. There was sort of like I feel like it's similar or linear to a gay person being homophobic until they find themselves. I think it was the
Internal
same thing.
homophobia.
Yeah, I think it was the same thing
So
with
internal transphobia.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I would be very interested in watching. I won't judge, but I'll be like, it's not gonna be me. Like, nah. Until later on, then I started meeting my friends and also embracing my body on social media platforms. And people like referring to me as ladies and gentlemen. I always wonder, like, why do people like always use pronouns of her to me? Even like generally, or like day to day, going to a supermarket, I'll literally get like, like elderly people saying, "Hello, me," and I'd be like, "Was that a mistake? Or like, or
Yeah.
is this
Yeah.
really meant to be?" So that along the side of the fact that my trans friends started being like, "You're more of a girl than you are. You're such a trans person," um, made me look at myself and actually think, well, hold on, actually, I used to wear dresses and I remember wanting to be a girl. I used to envision as a little kid, literally, I would watch music videos. And after watching a certain music video, I'll literally like put a chair there and imagine my straight boyfriend there and imagine myself with like a womanhood and like dance and see myself as this girl. So then I started replaying all of those, you know, um, memories in my head and I was like, maybe this is really who I am. Because why have I also been so angry towards it? Why have I not even wanted to engage in the conversations about like transgenderism? It was only until later when I started getting like intense gender dysphoria that I didn't know where it came from. um I started hating myself. I started hating my beard. I started hating the fact that I didn't have boobs. And my friend also, like I said, affirming me. You are such a girl. You're a trans woman. You are literally avoiding like your journey. And a lot of people, as I had seen on social media, literally think that this genderism a thing I did because it was a thing of aesthetics, or maybe I wanted to get more men. I've never had the struggles of getting more men in my life. More than anything, my trans friends will tell us, "Woo, the attention you're getting," when we go out in the clubs and everything. So it wasn't even for that. I went through a whole lot of. I think I spent almost 2 years of gender dysphoria. Like, it was literally getting intense to a point where I was getting suicidal, where I wanted to analyze myself. And I just recall a point where I literally reached out to a queer organization, I believe in Joburg, saying to them, "Guys, if you don't help me, I'm gone." It was that bad. I was like, if you don't help me, I'm doing this. There's no point for me to leave. I've never felt so conflicted like that in my life about my gender. And then they assigned a counselor for me. And obviously, even that counselor would come to me and be like, oh my gosh, you look so happy when you talk about being a woman and your woman events and everything. And those affirmation actually started being like, okay, this is really who I am. But the only thing that I was struggling with transitioning immediately was because of the fact that I have intense conservative values, and it didn't help that also I come from a religious background and I was already having a relationship with God. So I didn't believe in a lot of things that a lot of trans people did. I don't believe in a lot of things of that gay people did. I think that's where I start mentioning that God would have been convicting me, because why did I have those opposing views? That I had as opposed to my communities. For example, I didn't believe that you could transition kids. I'm still against that. I was like, why would you even think of transitioning kids? Giving pedophilia, if you have to think about a kid in a sexual way. I don't believe that trans women should. And these are the things I've done in an interview before as a trans woman, and these are the same values that I still had even as a trans woman. I was like, I don't believe trans women should participate in biological women's sports just because they have an anatomical advantage over like biological women. I don't believe that if you have a beard, you should be like in a biological women's sport. You should work very hard to be passing as a trans woman, because women are getting violated. And I'll get scrutinized for those views on social media because people think I just wake up and tweet or write something, when I spend a lot of time researching, watching people like Blair White, watching people like Megan Kelly speaking about these things. I might not agree with everything that they say, but I do agree with the right things. So all of that, and my conviction, and me just having conservative values, and my religion, it was so hard for me to transition and really find myself. Because at the end of the day, I was like, oh, it's almost like now I'm saying that God made a mistake. But then eventually I went for it. I can't remember what necessarily happened. I think after my counseling sessions, I went on the fourth session. I was like, you know what? I think I got this. Then I went to the doctor and got my hormones.
Did you feel like life as a transgender woman, especially because you had already acquired fame before you lived life as a transgender woman, you were harshly judged because somehow you became rather a spokesperson of transgender living without you even realizing it? Do you feel like you were harshly judged by society for living life as a transgender woman? And were you content with who you are as a transgender woman?
Lungelo who were needing to so content to because a lot of people don't know this. There's high suicide rates after people have transitioned versus before, and there's a reason for that. And also there is a growing number of detransitioners now, because it's not glamorous. And I think a lot of people, why they're censoring me on social media when I do sometimes speak about these things, is because they don't want people to know. It's almost like you're messing up my swag. Don't mess up my swag. But it's like people are losing their lives. And I almost became that person, because after transitioning, I do not want to lie, I did enjoy it to some degree, because I felt like I was at home. It felt so safe. It felt necessary. I didn't feel like I have to change my mannerism based on where I was and who I was with. It felt like it just made so much sense. But I can also recall the times where and I would hate it so much. I was like, why is this beard not going away? And you start having this idea cementing in you, where you start de-associating yourself from your biological gender, where you're like, you know what, I'm a complete woman. And I feel like that's false to integrate in people, because then when you're reminded of it, you get so angry. But it's a biological reality. And I just hated like facing the world as a trans person, because his hormones are making me tired. I hated the fact that my boobs aren't growing, but also I'm like, your boobs are not gonna grow. You're a biological woman. I was struggling so much with it, and it didn't help that people were telling me that you will never be a girl. What do you think you are? You have a manhood, and it was just a lot.
Are you not being unfair though, to transgender women right now who have gone through so much? They're suicidal. They're told they're not enough. They're told they will never be women. Are you not being unfair in the struggle towards transgender people being accepted? Because there is dehumanizing that transgender people have to live with.
Of course.
And here you are, it feels like you've taken a choice. I'm going to be a man again, and nothing's going to do anything about it.
I haven't. I'll go back to I'll piggyback to how unfair I'm being, because even up until today, I'm still telling people that I'm dealing with gender dysphoria. But I also feel like there's an attack on truth, and that's why a lot of trans people are losing their lives and detransitioning. If we can just accept the truth the way it is, then you can continue being a trans woman. Do you get what I mean? For me, I felt like
What is the truth?
I feel like the truth should have been for me. I shouldn't the idea shouldn't be installed in me that I'm a biological woman.
Okay.
Because then I never achieved that, and then I'm angry with myself, then I'm
Okay.
suicidal.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Okay.
And that's something that we are running away from. I feel like being trans and being, comfortable in your truth would actually save more souls than actually damage souls. Because you're unique the way you are.
Has Inno quit being a queer person?
I get that question a lot, and I still don't know how to answer it, because I feel like queer for me, because of the label, came with a lot of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like when you're gay, you're expected to be a certain way, believe a certain way, act a certain way. And for me, I feel like it's always been like different for me. Not to say that I'm not queer, but it was just not assimilating at all. Do you get what I mean? So for me, when I say that I do choose God before the LGBT communities, because I read my Bible and I chose Christianity, and choosing Christianity, and as a Christian, you need to understand it's all about like abiding by its values. There's no in and out. There's no being lukewarm. So I had to be like, God, if my desires, how the revelation came to me, I remember I was staying with one woman who literally was such a beautiful, kind person to me. And I was just going through a lot. And I understand that's why people saying that's the reason why I'm where I'm at right now with just like my religion and sexuality. It's not that. And I remember this randomly in a house alone, because I had started reading the Bible from scratch. And I remember the first time when I read Leviticus 18, a man shouldn't lie with another man as he does with a woman. I called to lie, my best friend. I'm like, babes. Because I think it's different from when somebody tells you versus when you're reading it for yourself. There's some sort of degree of conviction that happens. And I remember calling my friend. I'm like, hey, do you know this verse? It's not like I don't know. But I'm shocked, and I don't know why I'm shocked, because people have always told me this, that there's no Sodom and Gomorrah, it's Adam and Steve. But that moment when it happened, I was like, oof, it's almost like I heard it from the first time. And I remember just calling, I was like, oh, mokgotsi wa ka Bibele e thata. Mokgotsi nna just that's why I said ke ntsha dibibele hobane ke a tseba I want to ha nka e bala ke like you are confused. You get what I mean? Anyway, we laughed about it. It was jokes at the time because I was still early in the Bible verses. Then I continued reading it and continued reading it and continued reading it. And I was like, oh my God. It almost looked like my lifestyle does not pleases my God at all. And he really wants me, like he said, come to me as you are, but you have to be reborn. So what does that mean? Does that mean that if I'm born gay, like I've always claimed that I'm born gay, does that mean that I have to be reborn from that because it has been stipulated in the Bible that it's a sin? I remember just feeling so guilty. I remember just hating myself. I was like, oh my God, God, what are you trying to say to me? I literally had just transitioned 3 months ago. I'm enjoying myself. I'm shaking my nyash. It's like, yo, my wigs are wigging. Like, what do you mean? Why am I feeling like this right now? And up until today, I am still trying to figure out what that is, but I know what his truth is. However, I made a decision because this is so confusing to me. I was like, you know what, God, my sexuality anyway has been so traumatic. Who I am has been so traumatic. My choices have been so traumatic. I do not even want to focus on this right now. I want to literally sacrifice my desires. I am tired. I just want to come to you. Do as you please with me. If you're saying that this is not good, I'm going to listen to. I'm going to listen and try to live for you and see what you can do with me. That's how I think. I think that's where the miscommunication came. Not to say like, oh no, it's a sin. Oh no, it's so bad and da, da, da. And I don't want to lie. I've met my friends on the show who have made me feel like, oh, your decision is da, da, da. They were not as kind as you are right now speaking about it. And to some degree, it has gotten me angry to a point where I'll say things that I shouldn't say, become defensive, but I'd never wanted to say it like that. Because why would I, cast a stone on myself when I'm still having the same sex attraction? But if God is saying these are the laws, I'm I feel like I even said it to my friends. I feel like be in my shoes. I hear you saying that I'm messing up your swag, but can you imagine going through what I went through in life? I just transitioned 3 months ago and I'm getting this revelation. Did you stop to ask yourself, maybe how is Eno feeling in all of this? You can't imagine now having to leave who you are and wanting to please God, because pleasing God means that you have to leave who you are. And people ask me, so you say you can't be gay and Christian? I'm not saying you can't be gay and Christian. You can be gay, but the Bible is saying that we need to be reborn. And I'm still trying to figure out myself, what is this? And I say to my friends, I feel like it would be better if we didn't claim Christianity, almost like how Black people will do with white spaces, go to white spaces that know that they're racist, and then be like, oh, white people are doing this. Why then do we not create our own religion that makes us comfortable and connect with God the way we want to connect with God and understand that's how God wants us to connect with Him, as opposed to being angry with the religion that existed before time, before we're even here, and that we want to be angry at people for speaking about the religion that is so specific about what it wants in order for you to be Christian. I don't know if I'm making sense.
God has a sense of humor, because God, through the test of time, whether known or unknown, continues to use queer people to change other people's lives for the better. Um, the Bible says God qualifies the called and not the other way around. You don't qualify yourself. Anything that is self energy, anything that is self based is your ego and your pride, right? Are you not feeling like your revelation is impeding on other people's identity, their gender identity, their sexual identity, their human rights? Because as much as it is your human right to be in any religion you choose, it is also important that you have the responsibility to protect other people's rights in how you address these issues, especially as a public figure, because in the newness of your revelation, you took this online, and that can be dangerous. Why are you taking online something you are still confused about?
Got you. For me, I think when it had happened, it wasn't like, obviously, when you're taking a video that you are taking a video, but it was more of looking for people who were relating to my story. And whilst I'm relaying it, because I did even say it in the video that I'm confused, also I'm trying to figure out where are nuances. Because if my truth then diminishes other people's rights, why is their truth not diminishing other people's rights? It's like, why is inclusivity excluding other people in the way? Do you get what I mean? And my intention is not to harm other people. And I think obviously I knew that in a way this was going to become a big thing and be taken out of context. That's why I started taking more videos trying to clarify myself that this is what I meant, and I'm not. And I made so many posts on Facebook like, do not use my story to dehumanize the LGBTQ plus community, because there are a lot of people like me. There's a lot of growing community and a lot of people that hit up my DMs. One of them being one of the famous TikTok people was like, babes, I get you. So who speaks for those people when we are not speaking our truth and we are held with so much anger because we don't understand what's going on with us? Do you get what I mean? How then are we able to, understand each other if we are not putting it out there and evangelizing, so that if someone can be like, you know what, I get it. Because for me to get it, I saw it at Siasibulela when he did a podcast with the Sand Twins. I saw it with there's this other guy, what's his name, Richard something, when he did an interview with Lecrae. If they hadn't done those interviews and I was like, oh no, you're impeding on my rights and etc., it would have been unfair, because I got an opportunity to be like, I can relate to that. I feel like people have to be comfortable in their own truth. Even if the next person comes with their own truth, it shouldn't take anything away from that, as long as we're doing it in a safe way. And I feel like I tried to maintain that safety by telling people, please do not use my story against the LGBTQ plus community. And to be honest, I did say that I'm still attracted to the same sex, um, to the same sex.
If you
Excuse me.
if your identity as a Christian is based, rather, if your identity as a Christian demands of you to be sexually attracted to women only because you were born a man, then why do you think God is still allowing you, or it is still in your heart, that you are queer?
I think I think the problem with that will be if why a lot of times, especially when things are happening to us, we are so quick to blame God. God, why would you allow this? Da, da, da. Because even the Bible did say that we are born out of sin. There was a reason why he said that we have to be reborn. Our God is a jealous God. And he is very adamant in wanting to see us choose him versus the enemy. I do not know why he placed this law of same sex attraction in me. I can't even say it's him, because I've always said that I was born gay, until I asked myself, but what evidence do I have that I was born gay? Do you get what I mean? Because I've always denied that, what, people could just, you know, get with the lifestyle of LGBT along the way. I was like, but I was born with it. But what evidence do I have when the Bible does not stipulate that and is against that? I feel like my journey is confusing because it's confusing that on its own, it's a revelation. And because I'm speaking, I'll get more people. And I have really already gotten more people who came around and was like, you know what, I'm going to walk you through this. You're going to help understand yourself, etc. But I wouldn't want to make more decisions in my life, avoiding my truth, but harming myself more.
Are you in a journey right now, as you're saying, you have people around you who are helping you through the journey? Are you in a journey where you are trying to ungay yourself?
It's not, I don't know of the possibility of uncaying yourself. Lungelo, I'm not gonna lie to you. I still see you guys and I'm like, oh, to my friends, did you see that guy? You know, but I'm struggling in, I guess, complementing my lifestyle with my religious beliefs. And I really want to find nuances. And I'm struggling to find that because obviously my religion is against that. So do I now leave Christianity because I don't believe that I could be gay and Christian? I'm still trying to figure out that. I don't have all the answers, but right now I'm just more focused on embracing God.
Why is the bone of contention in your Christianity only your sexuality and your
And it's
gender?
not.
Because there's so much it takes to live a holy life.
It's not.
As a righteous man, there is so much that goes into that. There's so much grace that you need to keep working on,
Of course.
rather, that you keep need to ask God for to apply into your lives so that you can constantly be at work to try
100%.
and change who you are. But it seems like there's so much highlight in this journey of you being ungayed rather than all the other nuances of our personality, our character, being slow to anger, being patient, being a good person, being kind, loving. Is that the only thing you're on?
No, and again, it's not the word, the term "gay." I'm not comfortable with it because I'm really not trying to gay myself. I'm literally just being obedient because I swear to God, when I went to God, I wasn't like, I want to be straight. Or okay, you say this is a sin. Okay, please make me like not gay anymore. That wasn't the goal. The goal was having a relationship with God. Hence, I had started reading the Bible from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
But I have also relayed to my friends that a lot of people like crucifying, and I understand why that would have been big because I guess, like you had said, I have played some role of being a pioneer in the LGBT community. So obviously it'll blow up. And also because it is a sensitive issue that has been politicized so much. But that's why I was trying to play safe. But I've always said to people, that's like a little piece of my revelation. There's a lot that's happening in my life that I'm surrendering for God. Like, for example, secular music. I'm struggling of, getting rid of Aries. I'm struggling of getting rid of Drake and all of my favorite artists. And in Linton, I'm celibate now, I think, for 7 months, where I'm just trying to be pure and literally just focus on God. But I'm still struggling because the other day I had a little bit of weed and I was having a great time. So I'm also allowing myself to just be imperfect whilst I show God that I'm really fighting for you. But if I fall into a pit bull, please do not like crucify me for that because I'm only a human being and I'm also waiting for my Damascus moment where I'm fully like Paul. Do you get what I mean? So it's not only that, there's a lot of things from secular music. I mean, I still am up until today still fighting myself to lose grip of, homosexual pornography. Do you get what I mean? Of self gratification and all of those things. I'm still fighting in all areas of my life. It's just that my sexuality would become a highlight because obviously people would not expect to sort of like say something like that in context of religion and sexuality because that's who have always been. Do you get what I mean? But there's a lot. It's not just my sexuality. That's like the small piece of what's happening with.
All the things you speak of that you're saying you are struggling to get rid of, but you're working so hard to get rid of or to stop doing. Do you not feel like you are relying on your own power a lot rather than relying on God to transform you over time in areas of your life that you feel do not please him or are not in line with God? Because it sounds like to me you're so eager to reach this Paul moment, you call it, but to me it sounds like you're just eager to reach a perfection which is also modeled by society, and you think it is just your faith, but really society also models that same perfection.
True. And I think because society also models that perfection was the standard was set by the Bible. And because I have read the Bible, literally it's nothing else. It has nothing to do with society because at the end of the day, as much as I have experienced a lot of scrutiny, a lot of hate, I've always at the end of the day did what I did. I didn't care what anybody said. If I wanted to be on Instagram with my butt out, no one was going to tell me anything. So I feel like I could have still continued being like that. But obviously, there's some sort of a different form of truth that came in place. That's why now the reaction is different to that. And I don't think it's a reliance of, I'm not praising, like, idolizing myself by trying to do all of these things for my, changing and striving for perfection, because you can never be perfect. But I think also it comes with obedience, and obedience is very, very, very particular. You cannot, say that you love God but still do other things,
Mm-hmm.
and fully committing yourself to do everything that's against God. You cannot claim the kingdom of, light but still do things of the kingdom of darkness and say you love God, because even Jesus said that if you really, really love me, you literally do, um you will not sin. You basically follow in the things that I try to do, because he did say, tell his disciples, hey, when he was ascending to heaven, go make a discipleship of my nation. Do you get what I mean? And that discipleship comes with a standard that the Bible has set for us to follow. Anyway, so I don't think it's me trying to like be perfect. It's just obedience. And that obedience for me, I'm taking it from the Bible. Because he did also say, I'm looking at a yearning heart. My heart yearns for God. That's why I feel like I need to lose grip of everything that doesn't make God happy. I feel like my love for God is so strong. That's why I do not enjoy sinning anymore. It's not the fact that I don't want to sin, but going to him and loving him so much just makes me feel like, I feel like if I do this thing, it's going to create a distance from him. And I don't want to be distant from God. That's where I'm at right now.
There's a queer person who's struggling with wanting to unalive themselves, struggling with terrible abuse. They maybe even a teenager. And here is Inno saying that I'm actually trying to get away from that. You're confusing me more. I thought God loves me as I am. So what is the truth about God? Am I not loved by God?
Everybody is loved by God, but everybody is struggling with something. Do you get what I mean? And I'm gonna sound like Paul right now when he says, "I do not have all the answers." Jesus Christ has all the answers, because I really do not have all the answers, and I really genuinely don't want to harm other people, because there's the same community that has housed me, that has provided safety for me, that has got me to love myself. Lungelo, I hated waking up every day sometimes and be like, "Oh my God, I just want to like go with my friends to a gay club and meet some boy." The other day, ex boyfriend asked me back, and I was like, I had such a difficult time deciding
Mm-hmm.
if I was going to allow him to be back in my life, or if I was going to continue on this journey that I am. So it's really not easy. I guess everybody has their struggles, and we all have to deal with our personal struggles. I can only tell you my truth and help you also navigate yours in your fashion of understanding of how to deal with your own truth. But it's our responsibility to also handle our own lives at the end of the day. I cannot be a responsibility of somebody's lives, but I can be cautious and safe in how I address somebody when they need answers from me.
Do you believe your mom is happy with you right now?
I like I show me ke ne le motho a ratang ntate Modimo haholo. A ne le motho e le gore ha ba neneng o ne le gudla re rapela nakwana ka fela re tla rapela ka bo 12 re rapela ka 3. More than anything, she used to literally like tell me about how much I'm such a great evangelist. Like literally my mom, if I wasn't the one praying, it almost like she didn't feel the prayer, because she just believed in the power that was vested in me through God. And I don't know if she would necessarily be happy that I'm eternally suffering, but I know she will sort of get some comfort that I am choosing God, because I think every parent wants to see their kids happy. And I'm not saying the religion is not making me happy, but I am saying that it's not making me enjoy who I feel like I should be on earth. And I think that comes with the sacrifice of following God, because I feel like a lot of times we feel like we supposed to be happy. I need to live my life. I need to be da 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 da. It's all about me, 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 and we forgot that we're designed for a purpose on this earth, and that purpose is to live for Him and not for me. You understand? My happiness doesn't matter if His happiness is not recognized. I feel like He has to be happy with me first before I can recognize some sort of happiness within myself, and His happiness is completely reliant in how I become obedient and how I become, selfless in His word. So I feel like a lot of times now these days we live in as a selfish people. It's all about me. Like why would God not make me a certain way, or why would God bring this into me? It's just all about us and not about God anymore. I don't know why.
We're nearing the end of our conversation. Do you believe you're living your purpose?
That's a good question. Religiously, yes. Um, Humanly, no. I still have like, ideas of going to clubs and performing songs and being great and going out with my friends, and now I can't even do that anymore. And I guess that's where people start saying that it's not going to be easy, but you just have to trust God. But I'm not going to lie to you and be like, oh, yeah, it's all happy. No, you know what? Everything is amazing. It's not. It's really not. It's not. It's not nice. It's not nice, but I'm going to continue trusting God.
And last but not least, what's that one thing in life you know for sure? The one thing you're absolutely certain of?
I don't know. I don't know.
The confusion is still there, ne?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's still early.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I always say, if you see me 3 months later, you know, doing my trans thing, wasn't because I was trying to trend or be controversial, but it's because it's so hard. It's really so hard. It's just so hard to live within the truth, live within God's transparency and what He expects of us. It's not easy, especially if you're amongst people who are not like-minded and also who don't get it. It's almost like you fall short very quickly. You also forget about those values that you feel like He had instilled, because you eventually start finding interest in a lot of things that you want to sacrifice for Him. It's a lot. I'm still confused, and I'm very honest about that, and I think it's okay. Um, I don't know. I don't even know what it's.
By the way,
I don't
I
know what
don't
it's.
know is an answer.
Yeah.
Valid answer.
Okay. Thank you.
To say I don't
Because I
know,
feel like now I'm rabbiting around, and when I say I don't know, it's almost like I don't trust what I'm saying.
It's very valid to say I'm in a state where I'm unclear.
Yeah.
I'm trying very hard, giving it
Yeah.
my all, but still clarity hasn't come to me.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people almost say a lot of things that it's a sharang on social media, and things that I say, they count for me. I'm not the one who is saying that this is a saying or what da da da. It's literally truly from the Bible. And if I'm saying I'm Christian, I have to quote the Bible. I can't quote scriptures from other verses, and when it suits my lifestyle, I'm like, oh, this one I'm not gonna entertain it just because I feel like it doesn't agree with me. Do you get what I mean? So every single time when I say something, it's not necessarily for me. I always just quote the Bible. This is what God says if you are truly Christian. I'm not saying it because I'm literally being obedient to Him, and I wouldn't say it coming from me because I'm still living that. So I'm trying to understand, why would I also advocate for something that goes against me, but at the same time it's like I just need to give my life to God.
Just because I, as Lungelo, wear black, wear shirts, jeans, pants all the time, and I conform to worldly standards in how I look and how I present myself, I do not have the right to look at a person like Inno who goes through their struggles in public. Perhaps maybe if you had a camera on your own life throughout the seasons of your life, throughout the changes, people would be horrified as to what they'll see. But you get to go through the highs, the lows, the peaks and the troughs without anybody seeing what you are going through, without anybody seeing who you have to apologize to, without anybody seeing how much you betray yourself all the time. But you get to forgive yourself in private and come back up. So as you watch this episode, I hope you are sensitive to Inno's story, that the only difference between you and him is that he's had to go through everything in public. He's had to be bold in how he's going through everything. And maybe you are not bold. You're just hiding in a shell thinking you're perfect. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you in the next episode. Kholwa emandleni onawo. Oh my, we're finally doing this. What does EYL Africa represent? It's about standing in your power. It's about, in isiZulu, it's kholwa emandleni onawo, which is our tagline. You will see it on the back of my t-shirts. It's about believing in the power that you have, believing in the power that your God, your guides have invested in you. Shop our socks, shop our t-shirt, and yeah, just keep believing in yourself. EYL Africa. Now available on EYLshop.Africa.